Damn, my mic was muted like an old person on Zoom. But shout out to everybody in here. Welcome to another In Motion Football live stream. My name is Alam, and today we have a hell of a stream. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. I haven't done this for 4 days. As you can tell, the last update was March 5th. We got the March 9th update here of the news in the NFL. There's a whole lot of shit that happened. So before I get into it, shout out to Jared, bro. Good to see you. Yeah, 100%. I'll tag you guys in. I'll rip through everything. I'll rip through everything first. And then I'll tag people in at the end. But yeah, shout out to everybody in here. I see Jared's in here. I see King is in here. You know what? Okay, I'll let special guests in at the right times when we're talking about people's teams. But yeah, I'll get everybody in at the end. Before I get started, make sure you guys hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Two very important forms of engagement for the growth of a YouTube channel. If you're watching this afterwards on replay, you have the same opportunity to support the content. But with that being said, with the formalities out of the way, we're going to jump right into it. We are going to start with the big news of the day. DK Metcalf is a Pittsburgh Steeler, people. So DK Metcalf got traded from Seattle to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, who has been long chasing wide receivers to pair with George Pickens, has got DK Metcalf. We're going to talk about all angles of this. We're going to save Seattle's angle for the end. But Pittsburgh, okay, what did you get? You got 28-year-old DK Metcalf. You traded a second-round pick. You gave him $30 million a year, 5 years, $150, I believe, is the deal. As far as the football field goes, him and George Pickens is dynamic, but specifically in the way that they both play the wide receiver position, bro, deep threats for days. Both these players are amazing at running just down the field and catching footballs. So whatever quarterback they get, they have to get a quarterback that throws good deep balls. This is not an option. This is not it. If they get Tua, like, not obviously that's not an option. But if for some reason they end up with the wrong quarterback, it's going to be a travesty. They need to get a quarterback with a cannon. Aaron Rodgers cannot be a Pittsburgh Steeler because you need a quarterback that can maximize this deep ball potential of George Pickens and DK Metcalf. Because if you threaten a defense the way you're supposed to, it's going to push two safeties up the field 40 yards, and it's going to open up a ton of space for everything in between. So a lot of people would say, oh, it's a little bit redundant to have two receivers that kind of have similar skill sets. But I actually think that this is the skill set you would want two of if you're going to have overlap. Two deep threats is awesome. So you have DK Metcalf and George Pickens on as their outside receivers. If I'm Pittsburgh now, I know they have a Roman Wilson. I know they have a Calvin Austin, Pat Freiermuth. I think they need like a Deebo Samuel, a Swiss Army knife, somebody that can get the ball in a lot of different ways, somebody that can break tackles, run through contact. They need that kind of a like wild card in the slot now, because DK and Pickens should open up a lot of space. They need somebody in the middle of the field that can take advantage of it. So that's kind of my thinking when it comes to this trade from Pittsburgh standpoint in terms of on the field. I think, yeah, there's some overlap with Pickens, but I think two players that really threaten defenses with deep balls like this, that's an awesome thing to have. I'm never going to say that a team has too many deep threats. As for the price, they overpaid. But it's okay. Like, the thing is they've been trying to get receivers for so long. They've been failing for so long. They need receivers so badly because it's not just about what they put on a football field. These guys are competing for their jobs this year, Tomlin and Omar Khan. They could not miss. So from that standpoint, it justifies the overpay. But also, if you think about a team that doesn't have a quarterback, Pittsburgh needs to make their quarterback position look attractive, right? This makes it look very attractive. If I know I have DK, I have George Pickens, I have two guys, I can just say, fuck it. If the play's not working, I'm airing it out. I'm throwing it up, giving them an opportunity to get the ball. When you have two people that give you that luxury, you're in a good spot. So I really, really like the move, despite the fact that it's an overpay. I've long said on this channel that the offseason free agency in the trade market, that is not when you go for value buying, because it's really not there. If you want top of the top players in this time of year, you're going to have to overpay. When the Eagles got AJ Brown, at the time, it was an overpay. First round pick, $25 million a year, which at the time was top receiver money. Most people would tell you at the time that was an overpay. But if you need good players, you kind of just have to get good players. Sometimes that involves overpaying, and that's what Pittsburgh did. So they got a great player. He's 28, so a player that has this kind of physical, I guess, dominance. You think that maybe age will really make him fall off, but I don't think 28. You have to worry about it at this time. You have to worry about it maybe 30, 31, but they still have a couple years of dominant DK Metcalf, I think. So hell of a move from Pittsburgh's side of things. They needed to finally have a move cross the finish line, and they did. From Seattle's standpoint, we talked about this a little bit when we talked about DK's trade request. I think they're fundamentally becoming a different football team. I think they're becoming a defense and ground game team. We'll talk about it more when we talk about the two players they signed on defense, but yeah, that receiving core is going to look different. I think wide receiver 1 and 2 right now are JSN and Jake Bobo. So goddamn, it's looking dire there at the wide receiver spot. But yeah, great value, second round pick. It's a mid-round pick too. So if they hit on their draft picks, they got a third round pick from Geno. It's gonna look pretty good. But before we get on to the next moves, I'm gonna let the Steelers fan into the chat or into the stream. King, congrats.
I'm just gonna say this first off. The edging is finally over. I have been at this whole season, and we finally get a wide receiver.
Oh yeah.
I am giddy as shit. Look, you can say that 30 mil a year is kind of crazy, but for like a top 15 to top 10 receiver for the past like 5 years, you know what? I'll take it. And like you said before, at that little chart with all the money,
Yeah.
we have the least by a substantial market.
Yep.
We have money to play with, so
Yep.
let's go on and play with this money.
Oh yeah. That's why I said just because it's an overpay on paper in terms of the 30 mil and the second round pick doesn't make it a bad move. Like you said, I didn't even bring that point up. That's a great point, King. I was talking about how Tomlin and Omar Khan, they just need a win so bad next year in terms of like having a great year. And again, they need to make their quarterback position look sexy. They're opening, right? Those are two reasons. But like you said, the lack of money that they've spent on this roster, that's another reason. Like this overpay, so to speak, is perfectly justified in this situation, I think.
Yeah. And also for a quarterback, like you said, I said it when I first said I was like, okay, DK George, we need a deep ball merchant. We need someone with a cannon.
Yep.
So maybe I don't know. We happen knows we might get Sam because he was supposed to go to Seattle for DK, but now he's here. We probably might get Sam as well. Also in the draft, Jackson Dart. As the Ole Miss fan, I'll say this: he has a cannon. I will say Jackson Dart has a cannon.
Yeah. Okay. I agree. That has to be a priority. It doesn't matter what they do, draft, free agency, trade. I don't care. You have to go get a quarterback with a cannon. For me personally, I don't think Sam Darnold is that guy. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Kirk Cousins isn't that guy anymore either. Rodgers is definitely not that guy. You know what? They might have to go young. Actually, you know what? Russell Wilson and a young quarterback is probably the solution because Russell Wilson, he's got the moon balls on lock. And then they could draft somebody like a Jackson Dart. You know what? Here's the thing. I don't know if I believe in the Steelers' development at the quarterback position, but Jalen Milroe, from the standpoint of like, does he have an arm yet? No, but he has a cannon, right? And two, as a runner, he would be dynamic. And what I want you to think about is 2022 Philadelphia Eagles, right? The whole offense was basically Jalen Hurts throwing deep balls to Davante and AJ Brown, them making contested catches, but then complementing that as an offense with a running quarterback. And when you have an offense that threatens you with the deep ball and a rushing quarterback, you're literally stretching a defense like in terms of the deep part of the field and the line of scrimmage. It opens up the whole middle of the field. So from a game planning standpoint, I'm looking at Milroe and I'm saying like, look, if you could develop the guy, that is the mold of the quarterback, like the mold of a quarterback that would make this team dangerous. Like obviously you could say put Josh Allen on any team and that would make them much better. But like imagine if the Steelers had Josh Allen right now, like he could air the hell out of the ball to these two receivers and could threaten defenses with his legs. That's the kind of quarterback that I think really unlocks your personnel. So I don't know. Like if they were to get a Sam Darnold, I would be really disappointed. If they were to get a Quinn Ewers or some of these guys, I would be really disappointed.
Same. Also, just because we got DK, job's not finished. We still need, besides quarterback, we might need a running back because what's Jalen Warren and Najee's gonna think? Our O line that needs to work badly. We still need to work on this defense because even though it's top 10, that secondary is not top 10 at all. So I'll say this: this is a good start. I was not expecting this. Not gonna lie, I was waiting for disappointment. I
Yeah.
saw Miles Garrett and I was like, well, if Miles got signed back, Deacon's gonna get signed back too. But the fact that we got him, that's great for us. And this will be a good start.
Yo, we were saying in the chat last time I did a stream, like you guys been getting edged with at the receiver position like crazy for the last couple years, man.
And you said yourself, hey, out of all the receivers we could get, DK was like the best chance for us, and we
Yeah.
got him.
Yeah, I mean, truthfully, I like this better than Ayuk or late career Cooper Cup. A lot of the receivers they were tied to. Um, Part of the reason I guess I wasn't so concerned um, is yeah the fact that you guys got the best receiver. So yeah, that's really good. Any closing thoughts? Because we're gonna push on to the LA Rams next.
Um, just let's hope this continues. We need more.
You guys definitely need more. I just realized Calvin Austin is gonna be great with these two receivers on the field.
Oh yeah, he was great when there was only like him and George. Now he has DK.
For real, for real. Um, it's gonna be interesting because there's gonna be no attention to Calvin Austin paid whatsoever, and yeah, I think he's the kind of receiver in terms of he can catch the ball deep, he can get like end arounds and stuff, just like a gadget receiver in the middle of the field. Um, yeah, it's gonna be good. So again, like you said, there's more to do. There's a lot more to do, a lot more money to spend, but it's a good start to finally get a deal done for Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna push it on. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna rip through all the news, and then at the end of the stream, I'll put the link out there again, and whoever wants to hop in can hop in. But yeah, bro, good to talk to you. We'll see if you still want to stick around at the end.
I will be back at the end. But
Take care.
appreciate this.
Take care, bro. But yeah, next thing we're gonna go after is time to shine. Big up, crazy moves, bro. There's a lot more to do. We just got DK Metcalf done, and we have like I have, bro, I think 12 more banners. So we're gonna go from DK to the Rams, who made two receiver signings. So, they're gonna trade Cooper Cup. They have Puka Nakua, and now we know the rest of their receiving core. They're going with Davante Adams and Tutu Atwell. I think it's kind of an interesting combination of players. I understand Tutu. That's a pretty solid wide receiver 3. That's somebody who can get the ball in a lot of different situations, short stuff, little pitch passes, stuff down the field. Davante Adams is peculiar, man. I don't know if I understand this move, truthfully. I'm going to put this on the screen here. Why are they like, okay, the Davante Adams signing, it lines up with Matt Stafford from an age standpoint. And this is like, hey, let's maximize the hell out of Stafford's last years by getting a veteran that's ready to play. I just think bang for your buck. Are you going to get 23 million a year out of Davante Adams? And then the other side of it is that did you need 23 million dollars worth of wide receiver on this team? Because I don't know if this offense has ever really balanced two receivers well. At its peak powers, we saw Cooper Cup with Robert Woods. Since Puka's been the guy, I don't think Cup is really actually eaten with Puka there. So this is kind of my thing. I don't know for sure that this offense is really about maximizing multiple receivers. Of course, Davante is going to get the ball, but I almost look at it like one of two things is going to happen. Either Davante is going to show up and not going to be able to live up to 23 million a year, or he is, but this offense isn't going to feed him enough to get $23 million worth of production from him. So that signing, I'm not really seeing it. And as far as them spending money, if they're looking to maximize Matt Stafford's last years of his career, and they're paying a quarterback and they have to absolutely make the most of every dollar outside of the quarterback position against the salary cap, I don't know if this is how I would do it. I would have prioritized defense. I would have I think from their standpoint, they're probably taking care of at the offensive line. Maybe would have gotten, no, to be honest, it would be the defense. I'm looking at the offense. I don't know how much more money I would look to spend there. Not to say that they didn't have to replace Cooper Kupp, but did you need $23 million worth of receiver? That's my question. So, that's just the things for Davante Adams. When it comes to Tutu, I didn't know that Tutu was worth $10 million a year. What I'm starting to learn with the Khalil Shakir contract and now the Tutu Atwell contract is that I may have not had a great understanding of what wide receiver threes get paid. I thought Tutu Atwell was the kind of guy you could replace in the draft pretty easily, but they're making him a priority. So we know that they're probably not taking receiver high anymore. They have 3 receivers on the depth chart ready to go. Any receiver draft picks would be like long-term developmental projects for after Davante and after Tutu, because Tutu's only on a 1-year deal. But yeah, like I said, kind of peculiar. Maybe, you know what? Maybe they just think that they're that good as a team. Like maybe they think we've taken care of the offensive line. We have Higbee at tight end. We have 2 receivers. We like Corum and Kyron. So you know what? We're just going to add 1 more receiver, and that's that offensively. But I really just would have spent all my money on defense. I don't think, like I said, I don't think this offense is good at maximizing multiple receivers. So that's my thing about the Rams. Okay, next topic. Browns extending Myles Garrett. So this saga finally ended. We got the Browns not trading Myles Garrett. Apparently the owner rejected his request to meet, but I guess that's short-lived because they worked out a contract extension. Myles Garrett gets $40 million a year, the most expensive non-quarterback in the history of the NFL. This is, you know what it is? It's just sad because Myles Garrett, like by the time the Cleveland Browns are a playoff team again, Myles Garrett's probably going to be washed. So he's just going to spend the rest of his good years on a rebuild. What is this going to be like? I'm trying to think about an analogy, but honestly, no, this is just Joe Thomas again. We've seen this already. Hall of Fame career wasted in a Hall of Shame organization. So they're going to waste the best years of his. Of course, you know, I didn't really buy into the fact that the Eagles could make a move for Myles Garrett. I never really took that seriously. So yeah, I didn't, you know, not too disappointed about that. I guess like I personally didn't think Washington, it was the right move for the Commanders. I said that at the beginning of the offseason, and I still maintain that. But like, obviously, if they got him, it would be like, fuck, you have to deal with Myles Garrett twice. And we don't have to do that. So that part of it is good. But man, poor Myles, not really, literally not poor Myles Garrett. He's a very rich man. But yeah, man, he's just going to spend the rest of his career just like King said, big money, no rings. So that's that for Myles Garrett, man. Poor guy. Speaking of edge rushers requesting trades, Trey Hendrickson requested a trade from broke ass Cincinnati. That organization is really a shame because they ended up with some really cool players. They got Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Trey Hendrickson. They had Jesse Bates. They had DJ Reader. They had a nice little squad, truthfully. But just every single offseason, they lost a big defensive piece. I've talked about it for a long time. It started with Bates, then it was Reader. Now it's Trey Hendrickson. Every single year, they lose one more piece from that Super Bowl defense. And with Hendrickson out the door, but you know what it is, King? They're not going to be shambles. They're going to score a ton of points and give up a ton of points. If you are playing fantasy football, draft Bengals. If you're betting money, bet on Bengals overs. What are others? If you're playing Madden, just truthfully, nobody plays defense on Madden anyways. So pick the Bengals. Like any situation where you need offense in football, pick the Bengals because they're going to be giving up 40 points a game and scoring 35 points a game. That's how things are going to go for them. Burrow for MVP. Bet that future right now. But yeah, man, this is a bad situation. This is a cash poor owner when it comes to NFL owners. Obviously, these are billionaires and wealthy men, but when it comes to NFL contracts, the amount of when a these contracts are not fully guaranteed, but the guaranteed amount of every contract basically has to get put in a bank account as soon as the player signs it. So when the Browns signed Deshaun Watson, they had to put his entire contract, all 230 mil, into a bank account the second he signed the deal. So basically, when you look at free agency, the guaranteed money that owners are willing to give players, that's a true sign of the wealthy owners, because owners like the Eagles owner and the Bengals, truthfully, the Browns and the Jaguars, like they have to put the money aside. So bro, don't they got to pay them? So if you if you're paying them in a signing bonus, yeah, so the signing bonus gets paid to them immediately. But I'm talking about even guaranteed salary. So if you guarantee a player their salary for 2026, 2027, their salary has to be paid to them. But it's like an accounting function in the NFL of that guaranteed salary has to be put in a bank account off to the side to make sure that money doesn't go anywhere. This is a safeguard against players having to be paid, but the money's gone because of some disaster, right? So whenever a player has a certain amount of guaranteed money, that money has to get put off to the side. So when you look at the Bengals, what their issue is that they can't really offer guaranteed contracts to their players because their owner has zero willingness to put that money aside, right? His desire is to just have the Bengals and make the profits and enjoy the profits. That's all he cares about. So it shows in the stadium, it shows in the players, it shows in the contracts. The Bengals do not give their players substantial guaranteed money for this reason. That's why they're having trouble with Jamar Chase. That's why they're having trouble with T. Higgins, as King highlighted here. That's why they're having trouble with Trey Hendrickson. Everybody has a salary cap. Everybody is able to, it has to navigate the same budgeting like circumstances. But the Eagles are able to pay their whole team partially because the owner is willing to pay big guaranteed figures. I will give you guys a lot of guaranteed money. I'll put the money off right now. And because they're giving players so much guaranteed money, they're paying them early, they end up getting a bit of a deal on the contracts. There's a bunch of other accounting tricks, by the way, that the Eagles do, but that's the main difference between the Eagles and the Bengals. One team has an owner that's willing to put guaranteed money in bank accounts. The other team doesn't. So truthfully, the Bengals are just fucked. They have awesome players now, and it doesn't matter. Like this, it's never gonna matter for this organization as long as that scrubby ass owner is up there. They're always gonna have situations like this. So Trey Hendrickson is gonna leave, sack leader in the NFL last year, awesome football player, getting into his I think he's in his early 30s. So we're gonna see if he lands with an NFC contender. I'm thinking everybody that was in on Myles Garrett should basically just be in on Trey Hendrickson. Because why would you not? Similar age range, similar type of production, like last year at least. Great players. So it'll be interesting to see Hendrickson. So here's the thing. Part of the reason I was so kind of dismissive of the Commanders getting Myles Garrett is because, like I said, I think you would have to trade 2 firsts and pay him $38 million a year to get Myles Garrett. I don't think the same is for Hendrickson, but I also think he's a great player. So I actually, like, if the Commanders got Hendrickson, I would be a little bit pissed. Like, I think that would be a great move for them. But same with the Lions. So yeah, hopefully Hendrickson stays away from those two organizations. Hell of a player. They'll just be a better version of the Titans for sure. They're hanging on to the years of success while going through many years of BS. Yeah, for sure, man. The Bengals are not on a good trajectory. They are not on a good trajectory at all. Speaking of not on a good trajectory, the Raiders traded for Geno Smith. So they give the Seahawks a 3rd-round pick. The word is that Geno Smith, again, with no guaranteed money left on his contract, was looking for a contract extension. The Seahawks were not willing to meet his numbers, and they traded him to an organization that is willing to pay him what he's looking for. So Geno goes to Vegas. Seahawks kind of start over at the quarterback position. My thoughts for the Seahawks, I think this is a great deal in isolation. It sounds like what they're going to do is stupid going forward. So I actually think that they're in a really tough spot. But in terms of getting a 3rd-round pick for a 35-year-old Geno Smith and avoiding paying him what I would consider a bad contract, I think Geno Smith's next deal is going to be a bad contract. That's awesome. That's good. I think they made out well here. The value is good, again, for a 35-year-old quarterback who I don't think is anything great at the end of his contract when he has to get paid. From the Raiders standpoint, I understand that the stability is good. I can understand that part. Like, I'm not stupid. I know that they haven't had uh, a competent quarterback for a long time, and I know that Geno Smith is going to step in and give them stability at the quarterback position. But I think the contract they're going to give him isn't good. And does this not have the feel of Atlanta Falcons from last year? Right? You sign Kirk Cousins, you draft Michael Penix, and then you just have an uncomfortable situation. So, I mean, I saw the reports that they're going to pay him a contract that represents the fact that they want him to be a long-term piece for them. I saw that and I didn't love that. And I also saw the fact that they're still interested in drafting a young quarterback. So if you pay Geno a serious deal, like a Kirk Cousins equivalent deal, and then you draft a Shador at 6, what you are now the new Atlanta Falcons. Like, it's a really weird spot for them. I understand that they wanted stability at the quarterback position, but I think they could have got stability literally from Kirk Cousins. Like, I think if they really wanted this kind of a player, they could have got Kirk for pennies. And truthfully, I don't know how big of a gap there is Kirk Cousins to Geno Smith. There's definitely a gap, but I don't think it's that big. But I think he would cost significantly less than a third round pick. Again, I track some of the thinking, but I just don't think this is it. I understand that Pete Carroll likes Geno Smith and knows Geno Smith, and these things are very, very familial. Like, the NFL is a big fraternity, but bro, this isn't it. This isn't it. I'm not a fan. I think they could have got stability from somewhere else. Third round pick is not worth it. And again, if they don't draft a quarterback and they just have Geno Smith, like, congrats, you might win 7 games. But we should not be in the business of winning 7 games. I might want, that might be my first merch. If this channel ever gets big enough to have merch, my first merch might just be, we should never be in the business of 7-win seasons. Because what are we doing, man? So yeah, I don't love it for the Raiders. Again, from the Seahawks, I do like it. I just think they're about to do something stupider than the Raiders with their next move. So we'll talk about that when we get there. The Bills. The Bills had quite the flurry of moves in the last few days. They extended Josh Allen. They made him the highest paid player ever. They signed Greg Rousseau and Terrell Bernard, so 2 core pieces of their defense last year. They spent the money to bring them back, and they cut Von Miller. So here's the thing. When you think about how much money they just spent to keep their team intact last year, it kind of goes with what I was talking about with the season preview. I talked about how they're a championship team, not a championship team, a contender that has the ability to build. But you know what I'm realizing? I wasn't thinking about a Josh Allen extension. I thought that, yeah, they'd probably have to pay Rousseau. Yeah, they'd probably have to pay Bernard. I didn't know how much money they would cost. And I also didn't know how much that they were going to pay Josh Allen a lot of money. I'm starting to think the Bills maybe aren't going to have as much of an opportunity to get better the way I thought. Because here's the thing. While Bernard and Rousseau are good players, and they're probably some of their better players on defense, I thought that defense was underwhelming as is. Like, I firmly believe that defense bailed itself out by getting a lot of turnovers. They were almost like a big play defense. That's a term that I actually came up with watching the Cowboys of a couple years ago. A big play defense that's great at getting sacks and turnovers. But when they don't get sacks and turnovers, they don't stop teams. Like, teams move the ball up and down on them. I think the Ravens had like 400 yards of offense in that last game. Like, the Bills defense just bailed themselves out by getting turnovers. But yo, Jared, he wasn't even close to leaving the Bills, brother. He had 4 years left on his deal. They stacked his deal up. Like, they were taking care of their guy off an MVP season. They just want to make sure. I'm sure they just want to make sure he feels loved. So yeah, they gave him a huge contract. But this is the thing: they're spending a lot of money to keep a team together that I think had its flaws. So we're gonna see how much money they have left. Again, guaranteed money is all about cash flow. How much cash is an owner willing to put in bank accounts? Between Rousseau, Bernard, and Josh Allen, the Bills owner just put a fuck ton of money in bank accounts. We're going to see how much more he has left to spend. But yeah, like I said, I can't shade any of the moves individually. Von Miller had to get cut to save some bread. Rousseau and Terrell Bernard, you couldn't let them leave. Again, I didn't know how much they were going to get on contracts, but they got some good deals. 20 mil a year for Rousseau. I think 12 or 15 for Bernard. That's solid money. So But yeah, like I said, we're gonna see how much money they have left to spend. But Bill spent a lot of bread just to stay in place. Commanders. Speaking of a team spending money to stay in place, we got the Washington Commanders. People, they re-signed Zach Ertz and Bobby Wagner to 1-year deals for like 6 and 9 million, I think. Um, I really think that this team's roster construction is bizarre. Like, I understand being really aggressive about trying to win while Jaden Daniels is on a rookie contract. That line of thinking tracks. But it's possible to do that while also giving yourself some room for error for the next like team, right? Because think about it this way. If you were to get players, let's say 26, 27, you're still talking about like veteran experienced players that can win right now. And if things don't work out for the next 2 years, players that could still be valuable for your next team. The thing about the Commanders, when they trade for a 29-year-old Marshawn Lattimore and a 29-year-old Debo Samuel, and they spend money on 34-year-old Bobby Wagner and like 34-year-old Zach Ertz. This is gonna be an old ass team, and like they're putting themselves in a spot where if they don't win a Super Bowl in the next 2 years, their team's going to be shit like in 3 to 4 years. And I just don't think they have to be that aggressive about year 2 and year 3 Jaden Daniel, because guess what? Year 4 and year 5 Jaden Daniels is still going to give you a great opportunity to win. You should be also kind of like giving yourself some options to be good at that time as well. I just think the aggression about getting, wily veterans that are ready to win right now. I'm not saying that Zach Ertz and Bobby Wagner aren't going to be good players, but like I just watched the team get spanked in the NFC Championship game with these players. They're not going to get better. They might not even stay the same. So you're investing money in players that, if anything, could be the same, could like be what they were last year. Best case scenario could be what they were last year. Worst case scenario, they're just washed all of a sudden next year. So I say this all to say, the Commanders are putting themselves in a very particular situation. There's a lot of pressure on them to hit on the draft. They have Zach Ertz, right? They have to draft somebody that's ready to take over from Zach Ertz in 1 year, 2 years. Bobby Wagner, they have to draft somebody that can take over from Bobby Wagner. Debo Samuel and Marshawn Lattimore, yeah, those guys are going to be able to play this year, but they might at a moment's notice be very not good at football all of a sudden. They have to prepare themselves for that. So the Commanders are really, really going to have to draft. They're a win now team with a rookie quarterback. But like, for example, bro, when the Eagles traded for AJ Brown and Davante Smith, those were basically in 2022 win now moves as well. Like you could say that there was a win now window for the Eagles in 2022. But bro, those are players where if you didn't win now, you still have a chance to build around those players for like 2, 3, 4 more years. There's a little bit of room there, bro. With these players, there's no room. There's no potential for a win. You don't know how your second window is going to come to be. This there's a little window now, and when it slams shut, and then after that, we'll see what happens. But yeah, big up to everybody in here. We got a raid from Sarcasm City. I'm seeing a bunch of people are piling through. So big up to everybody in here. Make sure you guys hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. This is In Motion Football. I talk about NFL football on this channel. So this is what we do, people. If you're not familiar with the sport, this would be a pretty cool place to familiarize yourself. And if you are an NFL fan, there's no better place to hang out with people that have a similar passion for the game. So that's what we do here, people. We are talking through the news in the NFL of the last 4 days. I've been away from the channel, but a whole lot has happened. So that's what we're doing. Like I said, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Big up to Flawless. As always, I appreciate you for the support. And we're going to jump right back into it. What was next? The Chargers. The Chargers cut Joey Bosa. So this was a move that was very, very, very thoroughly discussed in the news. Over 100%, over 139 viewers. Make sure you guys hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Paul Severance says, hot take, whoever drafts Sanders is going to trade him plus a first rounder to Dallas for Dak. Okay, this is a very interesting take. Shout out to you, Paul Severance. I think what you're basically getting at here, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that having Shedeur Sanders is like having additional leverage on the Cowboys, right? Because you probably think that Jerry Jones has like a burning desire to reunite Dion and Shador because of just how Dallas Cowboys that would be. So like if you have Shador, you have this one piece that Dallas cannot get any, like there's no other Shador Sanders in the NFL. If if you have a starting quarterback and you want to, if the Dallas Cowboys are interested in your starting quarterback, there's a lot of starting quarterbacks out there, right? But there's no Shador Sanders. So I get the thinking here. Dallas trading Dak at some point, that's a really, really possible. I think if Dak, like, there's going to come a point in this contract where Dak's contract is tradable. When that happens, I do agree that he's going to get traded. But yeah, this is a very interesting hot take. What I would say, though, is that, like, a part of what you're saying here is that Shador isn't going to pan out. Because if Shador Sanders was a good football player, wherever he goes, he doesn't get traded anyways. Because honestly, like, good rookie quarterbacks don't get traded on their rookie deals. So Shador has to be not good. And then that kind of makes it a weird situation. Like, if a team is willing to trade him on his rookie deal and he's not good, are we sure that Dallas would want him? And again, I'm open-minded to the idea that Dallas is stupid, so you can count on them to do stupid things. But yeah, this is a interesting thought for sure. A very interesting thought. Damn, he got cut. Think the Niners might get him. For sure. So what he's talking about is the move here. Joey Bosa to getting cut by the Chargers. It's a pretty interesting move because he was owed a lot of money. As Jen will educated us, he is not healthy that often, so the Chargers were not getting bang for their buck. But the thing about the Chargers is that they don't have any edge rushers under contract. Khalil Mack was a free agent. Now they cut Joey Bosa. I think Tuli Pelotu is the only edge rusher they have under contract now. So the Chargers, they're kind of starting from ground zero at the edge rusher spot. And because that's the case, they're going to be spending a lot of money replacing these guys and not getting better than they were last year. So kind of puts them in a tough spot. As far as Joey Bosa is concerned, the rumors are he's going to go reunite with Nick Bosa in San Francisco. I think that would be, I mean, it's necessary for the Niners. They need more edge rushers. As far as his personal interest goes, I'm sure playing with his brother would be cool. I don't know how many years they shared together at Ohio State. Or at high school or something like that. But yeah, I mean, he's probably going to go to the Niners. It all makes sense. Because he's injury prone and 30, he's probably not going to be that expensive. The Niners are going to pay Purdy, so they don't have a ton of money. There's a ton of edge options in free agency, so I think everybody's market is going to be slightly deflated. So yeah, Bosa to the Niners. That's probably going to happen. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting. I just checked the channel, by the way. We're at 199 subs. So the next person to subscribe is going to be my 200th subscriber. I have nothing to give you guys for that other than like a salute. But yeah, shout out to everybody in here. If this channel gets to 200 subs during this stream, I'm going to be a very happy man. So I'm just going to put that out there, people, as we're going to get back into the rest of the stream. Jerry is cheap, so he wants to start over a new contract. If Geno didn't go to the Raiders, that's what I thought was a great possibility. No, I hear it. Jerry is definitely not, like, he's not one of those owners that wants to tuck a bunch of money away into bank accounts to give people big guarantees on the contracts. That's actually kind of part of the reason why the Dallas Cowboys keep getting screwed on these contracts, is because they just delay negotiating, and then they pay at the very last moment that they can when the market gets pushed up a little bit. Like, look at the Bengals now. I forget who was breaking this down, but like, they could have got Jamar Chase for $36 million last year. They delayed it. The market went up. Now he's worth $40 million a year. Why? Because he said he wants to be the highest paid non-quarterback. You said that you wanted to make him. The Bengals said they wanted to make him the highest paid non-quarterback. Now the highest paid non-quarterback just got $40 million a year in Myles Garrett. So guess what? You got to pay Jamar Chase 41. You just played yourself. You could have had him for 36, but you keep pushing it onwards, and the market goes up. T. Higgins, allegedly, they could have got T. Higgins for $22 million a year 2 years ago, but apparently it didn't happen. So unfortunately, they're now going to have to pay him, what, 32? The longer you delay paying players, the higher the market goes, because this is the thing is rigged, right? The salary cap goes up every year, so that means the market generally goes up every year. Um, so yeah, it's not great. um, oh shit, we did. Shout out to Paul Severance. Appreciate you. He's 199. Hoping to get you to 200 tonight, my guy. Broncos country rides with you. Yo, we got our first Broncos fan. Let's go. Let's go. We wait, no, hold on. We didn't complete it, did we? Because we have a Raiders fan? No, we have Chargers, we have Chiefs, now we have Broncos. Yeah, we don't have a Raiders fan yet. Um Actually, no, you know what? I do know a Raiders fan that has been on the channel before, but he just hasn't been here in a while. But yeah, Paul, you're the first Broncos fan in this community. So definitely turn up when the season comes starts again, because we do watch alongs for Sunday Night Football every Sunday. And while we do that, we just talk about all the games that day. So those Sunday Night Football streams are really just like general NFL streams, and it's always a good time. But part of the reason I really like doing this is because it gives me a chance to talk to fans of every team. I don't get an opportunity to chat to every fan, like a representation of every fan base. So there's a lot of times where I get educated from people on their teams. Like King is a Steelers fan. He's helped me learn about the Steelers quite a bit. Jen Will is a Chargers fan. He's helped me learn about the Chargers. I'm an Eagles fan, so I watch the Eagles religiously. I mean, obviously my understanding of them is much better than my understanding of other teams. But yeah, having a community of fans here, it just makes the NFL experience a lot better. So Paul, shout out to you. Thank you for being 199. And man, like one more fan base covered. Hope to get more fan bases in here. Yeah, Sai's a Chiefs fan. Jared's the Texans fan. But yeah, they do have to pay Purdy, bro. He's gonna make an absurd amount of money. But yeah, the next move we got, following with the edge rushers, we got the Patriots signing Harold Landry. The Patriots finally actually spend money. I feel like he said thank you for boat racing the Chiefs. Oh man, my pleasure, my pleasure. I felt like it was such a good Super Bowl because it felt like, oh my God, we actually did everybody a favor. Like Philadelphia, I think generally Philadelphia sports, and I'm not from Philadelphia, by the way. I'm from Toronto, Canada, by the way, Paul. But yeah, Philadelphia typically isn't a team that like the masses cheer for. I feel like this is the first time everybody's banded together and said, you know what, we're Eagles fans. And yeah, to do that on the biggest stage, my goodness. I don't think it could be any better. So it's a great time. But yeah, back to the news. We got the Patriots signing Harold Landry. So I feel like the Patriots have had money to spend for like 3 years now, and they just somehow, some way, they don't really sign free agents. Like they'll sign the Kendrick Bournes of the world, but like they don't spend their money the way they're supposed to. I think this might be one of the bigger contracts that they've given out post Belichick. So yeah, this is a pretty solid move. I like Harold Landry. He's 29. He's not too old. He has the familiarity with Vrabel because I think he was there for the entirety of Vrabel's time in Tennessee. He went to Boston College, so he has some Massachusetts familiarity. This is actually a great fit for a lot of reasons. I really like the move for the Patriots. They needed edge help badly. It's not a bad deal in terms of the money per year. He was cut so that he doesn't count towards the comp pick formula. Like there's a lot of good things going on here. It helps them basically look at one of their edge rush spots for the next 2 years and just say that's locked down. We can draft somebody for the future, but they don't have an immediate need at edge, one of their edge spots anymore. I don't think they have another edge. Oddly enough, I think they needed to get 2 guys in, but hey, they got half the job done with Harold Landry. So that's a really solid move. The next signing we're going to talk about is Jamie Sherwood. So we got the Jets giving Jamie Sherwood $15 million a year. Now, his stats were really good. By all accounts, he was really good. Am I going to sit here and tell you that I watched the New York Jets play football like intently last year? No. Whenever I turned the TV on to watch the Jets, I would just laugh at the screen. That was the whole objective of watching New York Jets football. So they say that this guy is good. I believe it. But he got $15 million a year. That feels like an absurd amount to spend in this cycle for a linebacker because Zach Bond just got $17 million a year, and Zach Bond made play after play after play in the playoffs, had an amazing year from a statistical standpoint, first team All-Pro. Obviously, he's older than Jamie Sherwood, but I feel like I feel amazing about the Zach Bond deal now, knowing that this guy gets $15 million a year. 100%. Jets football is perfect entertainment when you're down. So when I think about this move, um, like cool, like solid move, but you're talking about building from the ground up because that's what the Jets are doing. For those of you who haven't seen the Jets depth chart, I did a preview for every single team's off season. When you look at the Jets depth chart, they have a ton of players that they're missing in free agency, right? They're not bringing that many players back next year. So they're really starting from the ground up. Starting from the ground up by paying a linebacker $15 million a year that nobody's heard of. I'm not saying that means it's inherently bad. I'm just saying like it doesn't feel like the best way to start your rebuild. So for their sake, hopefully it's good. But they had Quincy Williams, who's a good linebacker. Like it's not like they have nothing at the linebacker position. If anything, this should solidify that they have a very good linebacker room. But is that a huge like is that does that command $15 million a year? I don't know. So I'm a little bit skeptical about this. This feels very Jetsy. But yeah, Paul says heading to bed, glad to channel pop in the timeline. Would you rather spend the rest of your life always having the hiccups or always have that feeling like you're right about to sneeze? Oh, give me the feeling that I'm about to sneeze because I can suppress that from the world around me. Like not everybody has to know that I'm feeling that, but hiccups, you can't hide that. Everybody around you is going to know that you have the hiccups. If I have that feeling, I can at least like I can just hate the fact that I'm always experiencing it, but I can hide it from the rest of the world. I think the public nature of having the hiccups forever, that's not it. That's not it. But yeah, wacky question there. I don't mind that. That can definitely run. But yeah, take care, bro. Take care. Vikings signed Aaron Jones. That is the next move we're gonna look at. The Vikings. Okay, so the Vikings get their running back 2 years, 20 million. Good player, obviously. For the first time in his career, he played 17 games last year. So that's very interesting. For him to have his healthiest year later in his career. He had a solid year. Like I think he had 1,500 all-purpose yards. So that's pretty, respectable. The Vikings obviously couldn't lose him because they actually are missing both him and Cam Akers. They have nothing in the running back room. I had them. I considered them could draft a running back in the first round kind of a team because while I thought Aaron Jones was good, I thought they could have maybe upgraded that spot. But what this says to me is that they're going to spend that first round pick drafting an offensive lineman. And this is, they're probably going to go running back round 2, round 3. But the big thing about the Vikings is that they have 2 offensive tackles, but they have a whole lot of nothing in the interior of the offensive line. So with that being the case, it's really, really important for them to shore that part of the field up. And they could do so financially or they could with draft compensation. But the fact that they spent money on the running back position to me means that they're going to draft offensive line. So for their sake, I hope they hit. From the standpoint of Aaron Jones, that kind of thinking about it that way, maybe that makes his year last year even more impressive. If you got 1,500 all-purpose yards and stayed healthy behind a bad interior line, you know what? Maybe he has an even better year next year behind a great offensive line. But that's the big emphasis for the Vikings. This just gives them some flexibility. They don't have to hit in the draft at the running back position. Obviously, it would help if they did. But yeah, this gives them some stability. Big up, Joel. This gives them some stability at the running back spot. And yeah, like I said, I thought they should have spent money paying the players to play in the interior of the line. They're not doing that. They watched Chicago get 2 guards. Better get on that, Minnesota. But yeah, they give themselves some stability with Aaron Jones. Hopefully they hit in the first round. I see Cy is in here. Big up to Cy. We got the Chiefs signing Nick Bolton and Hollywood Brown. So they spend some money retaining 2 players that they had last year. Hollywood Brown probably rounds out the receiver room. They have Rashee Rice. They have Xavier Worthy, who was looking like maybe they wouldn't have him next year, but apparently that situation, the police aren't going to get involved. So I don't know where that puts him with the NFL. The NFL can hand suspensions aside from like criminal prosecution. We'll see how that goes, but it looks like they are going to have Xavier Worthy next year. They're going to have Rashee Rice, and now they have Hollywood Brown. So they're probably not going to invest too much more in the receiver position. At the linebacker spot, they have Chanel still. They have Nick Bolton. I don't know if they're missing anybody else, but yeah, it looks like this wraps up their linebacker room and their receiver room. So they can move on to other positions. From a value standpoint, they got a Hollywood Brown on a 1 year deal, so I think that's good value, even if the number is a bit high. Nick Bolton, I mean, they got him what for Jamie Sherwood prices, so I like Nick Bolton a lot. I think man, he was a beast in that first Super Bowl against the Chiefs, but yeah, good decent value. Hollywood Brown, not too long of a contract. So again, this is a pretty steady move, like nothing spectacular or anything, but you got two good players under contract that you're familiar with. And you can go into the offseason, go into the rest of the offseason and make better moves to upgrade other positions. 123.5 mil for Myles Garrett, highest paid non-quarterback. I'm surprised, but bro, that's how much leverage he had over them. When he made it clear that he was willing to miss games, for the trade, it made them get desperate. And this is the problem, by the way, Sai. When it comes to your owner looking at Deshaun Watson and saying, I want you to be a Cleveland Brown, and Deshaun Watson saying, fuck no. And then the owner responding with, you know what? I'm going to give you 230 million guaranteed. I'm going to give you the biggest contract in NFL history. I'm going to give you the first the first fully guaranteed contract to a quarterback. When you show that you're willing to bend your resolve that much when you're desperate, that you can't wipe that stench off of you. And Myles Garrett, I think, just took him to the cleaners because he saw that. He saw when you get desperate, you put stupid money out there. And that's what Myles Garrett did. He put the Browns in a position of desperation and took them to the cleaners for all this bread. This move cheese are expected, but we need a backup for Rice. Yeah, you guys could probably use some development in case some like developmental guys with promise that can play in, a little bit here and there, because when you guys lost receivers last year, there wasn't really any viable options, but they could probably get some vets on cheap prices, like on a cheap deal. But yeah, next move we're going to look at. Okay, Jaguars trading Christian Kirk to the Texans and cutting Evan Ingram. So the Jaguars cleaning house continues. They're getting rid of like all their vets. Anybody that they could cut to save cap space, they did. They've cut like 6 guys. So they're cleaning house. Makes sense from their standpoint. Again, when we looked at the Jaguars, quietly, they have a very expensive roster from a guaranteed money standpoint. So again, their owner has a bunch of money tied up. He's probably not looking to spend too much more. He was probably looking to cut costs as much as he could. And they did a lot of that. Looks like they're going to kind of retool the way they play a little bit. They're getting rid of a lot of receivers or like passing targets. They're getting rid of DBs and stuff. And they haven't really trimmed at the offensive line or the defensive line. It looks like they're kind of having a Chargers offseason from last year where they kind of reorient the team to the trenches. The GM has already come out for the Jaguars and said, we're looking to bolster the interior of the line. So looks like the Jaguars are really going to make a bit of it, I guess, change their philosophy a little bit. But when it comes to the Christian Kirk trade, the other thing you have to think about is the fact that they traded him to the Houston Texans. They traded him to a rival. So first and foremost, that's a bold move. Like that, that's basically saying we think Christian Kirk is trash. That's what trading him to a rival says to me. So already I'm like, okay, all right. We'll see if this works out for you. As far as Christian Kirk goes, I actually forget what injury he had last year. If somebody can put that in the chat, that would be awesome. But like, I don't think he had a career-altering injury. I think he's probably going to be good for the Texans next year. I think they're going to need him to be the wide receiver 3. Basically play in Tank Dell's place. And I don't think he's going to do a bad job. Like, I think Christian Kirk is probably going to be fine. This is what I'm saying, King. This is how you make a monster. Like, Lakers trading Luka to the Mavs trading Luka to the Lakers. He may have had drinking issues or whatever, but now you just turned him into a monster. Saquon Barkley, right? Always a great football player, pretty chill guy. But when you disrespected him last offseason, you turned him into a monster. Obviously, Christian Kirk is not an elite player, so you can't put him in the same kind of a conversation. But like, when you trade a receiver to a division rival, Deshaun Jackson went to the Commanders. Oh, different name back then. Turn him into a monster. Like, don't trade players into don't do stuff like this. Jaguars, their GM looks like he's 12 years old. Traded a good player to a division rival. I would not be surprised if Christian Kirk falls. But yeah, it looks like the Jaguars are are completely stripping the roster down of anybody expensive. So I don't think they're going to be good next year anyways. Like they won't get dunked on by Christian Kirk, like because it won't really hit that like that. Everyone's gonna dunk on them. But yeah, man. Good move for the Texans. Good move for the Texans. The way I looked at it, they needed to basically have somebody to be Tank Dell for 1 year before you get Tank Dell back fully healthy the next year. So if you need 1 season from Christian Kirk, I think they're going to be able to get it. And you have a highly motivated, completely disrespected Christian Kirk at that. So I think that's going to be a good move. Ravens signed Ronnie Stanley. So Ronnie Stanley, standout left tackle for the Baltimore Ravens, gets a sizable deal, 20 mil a year for 3 years. Kind of somebody who has a bit of an injury issue, but clearly a very good left tackle. Baltimore cannot afford to lose him. If for some reason you think maybe that's a big contract given his injury issues, losing him would be worse. So I can't really critique this signing. I would have done the same thing. And yeah, it's just like you if you're Baltimore and you're this close to being great, like not great, you're this close to being Super Bowl like contenders. Actually, no, you are Super Bowl contenders. You're this close to actually being Super Bowl winners. You can't be worried about having to replace Ronnie Stanley. You got to pay him and then just start to direct your mental energy towards something else, other more important needs. So solid signing from them. The Saints retained Derek Carr. So basically, there was probably some lack of clarity about exactly what would happen with Derek Carr. So what happened is basically they gave him his whole salary for this year as a signing bonus, which basically means all of it is guaranteed, but also it's spread out over the duration of the contract. What that really means is that there's zero chance they get rid of him this year. They could get rid of him next year for sure, but you don't do what they did with his contract and then get rid of him this year. So Derek Carr is coming back next year, and you don't bring Derek Carr back on this kind of big money to play backup. So Derek Carr is going to start at quarterback. What that maybe helps us figure out is that the Saints are not going quarterback round one. I don't really think that's what this move lends towards. I think it's probably a quarterback round 2, round 3 kind of a thing, or just try to develop Spencer Rattler and really tank for Arch Manning. So I'm thinking that's probably what it is. But yeah, bro, they financially doubled down on Derek Carr. Not to say that they gave him more money. They just gave him his money in advance so that they could spread it out over the duration of the contract, which is a strong commitment to him being on the team this year. So the Saints are going to play Derek Carr. That's probably not going to go well. Him and Kellen Moore are like the same age, and I think they played each other in college. So that's kind of a crazy story. But yeah, man, New Orleans Saints, probably not going to be good next year. Next move, we're going to look at Baron Browning to the Cardinals. So really not much to say here. The Cardinals had one of the worst pass rushes statistically, like in the last 10 years last year. Baron Browning was a part of it. Like they traded for him at the trade deadline. I thought that Baron Browning had some amazing moments as a Bronco. I don't know why it fell apart for him. I feel like the right coaching staff could get a great player out of Baron Browning. Perhaps that's not the Cardinals because they haven't really got much out of any of their young pass rushers. So maybe this is the wrong spot. I don't think this is a bad player. I think the price they gave him is very good. But I mean, goddamn, man, the Cardinals get nothing out of their defensive personnel. They are supposed to have promising coaching. Their coach is a defensive coach. They went after one of the best young, like 29-year-old. I think the defensive coordinator is 29. No, I think he's like 33. They got one of the best like young mid to early 30s defensive coordinating like prospect. They're supposed to be a well-coached team, but it just feels like all their young players just don't develop. So I don't think this is a bad player. It's not bad money. I hope it works out. But yeah, that's just a weird situation. They need Josh Sweat and Milton Williams, by the way. Because the coaches already coached both of them in Philadelphia. They need proven, established veteran defensive talents. They need to break the bank for those players. But yeah, they need a lot. The Cardinals need a lot. Seahawks, they signed Ernest Jones and Jaron Reed. So they re-signed 2 players that were on the team last year. But what I talked about with the Seahawks when DK requested a trade and they made those flurry of cuts is it felt like the Seahawks were reorienting their football philosophy. I felt like they were going to give Mike McDonald his pieces defensively, and they were going to become a rushing team with their 2 running backs this year. Um, because I think that's what has to happen if you fix the O-line and the defense. Because I don't think there's enough room to fix literally the entire team. You can't do that. You can fix the O-line and the defense this year. You can figure out the passing attack next year. But because you also have to get a quarterback. Like, you literally can't get everything in one offseason. So we see the Seahawks, the first two instances of them spending money, they're spending on the defense. Now, they're spending on players that they had last year, so these aren't upgrades. But Mike Macdonald needed his guys. What you can say is that because they paid these two players, these guys are clearly Mike Macdonald guys, and the expectation definitely has to be that that side of the ball is better next year. Remember, when Mike Macdonald made the move from Michigan to Baltimore, at first things weren't great for Baltimore's defense. It was kind of suspect. And then midseason, they got Roquan Smith, and they turned into an amazing defense pretty quickly. So I think that just goes to show that with Mike Macdonald, it can take some time, but also he needs his players. So the Seahawks showing a willingness to get him his guys defensively. I expected this in the offseason preview series. I expected it more when DK requested a trade, because basically that meant they weren't willing to give DK his number. And I expected even more now that they're coming out early and they're spending money on defensive players. Now, what I find kind of weird is that Jaron Reed is like 33. He's like 30. He's not young. So you're giving a 3-year deal, respectable money, to a 32-year-old. That to me sounds like you want to win now. I don't see a win now roster at all. Apparently they're going to sign Sam Darnold. That to me, putting Sam Darnold behind a bad offensive line with no receivers is not a recipe for winning. So the win now thing is kind of weird. I would almost prefer if this team leaned into development long term, because you have JSN, young player. You're not going to have what it takes long term. Big up to Flawless. We got the Sarcasm City channel in the chat. Appreciate everything, bro. Appreciate the raid. Everybody in here, a lot of you guys are probably from the raid, but some of you are definitely not. Make sure you follow Sarcasm City. Very, very interesting football channel. Because it's not just football. You got basketball stuff. On the playback, you got all kinds of like combat sports. So tap in. Any sports fans, tap into Sarcasm City. They're my people. Back to this football. But yeah, Seahawks, I don't understand the win now vision. I think they need to be patient. They just got 2 draft picks, a 2nd round pick and a 3rd round pick. They just got those 2 draft picks. I thought that they should lean into getting young and being having a bit more of a long-term vision, but they just paid Jaron Reed. So I guess they're going to try to win now. Like I said, I really question the Saints' direction. Again, I think Sam Darnold behind a suspect offensive line with JSN and Jake Bobo, and probably, if anything, a rookie. Not a great recipe for winning now, but whatever. They're gonna make their moves as they see fit. Next move we're gonna look at is the Lions signing Derek Barnes and Marcus Davenport. So they re-signed 2 players from last year, but these are 2 players that missed most of the year. I think Derek Barnes played like 7 games, and I think Marcus Davenport probably played like 3. So you got them bringing back players that they think are promising. It looks like Barnes is going to be the starting middle linebacker. Looks like Davenport is probably going to be one of the first edge rushers off the bench. So you got a couple players that are definitely going to be on the field. Lions wrapping up the business early, paying guys that they know that clearly that they think fits the vision for I guess the locker room and whatnot. So all that checks out. Not a particularly high number for either of these contracts, so that's definitely respectable. You have one more, right? So we can hold on. You have one more. What's that? One more, right? So we can talk to. Oh, I thought. Wait, bro. What do you mean? I'm confused. But yeah. Oh yeah, bro. No, yeah, I got 2 more. I got I got 2 more after this. But yeah, that's what it is, people. Lions, they spend a little bit of money on some of their own players. These are players that, again, just because they're retaining them, it's not like some of the other situations with Buffalo and Seattle where they're paying their own players just to keep them. These are guys that they got almost no production from last year, so this is going to upgrade their team. Yeah, Lions in a good spot to get better. Nah, bro. We talked about Nick Bolton and Hollywood Brown already. It is The Bengals and the Bucks. But yeah, solid moves by the Lions. The Bengals signed Mike Gesicki. So big offseason coming up. They're gonna trade Trey Hendrickson, and they start the offseason by signing Mike Gesicki. The Jamar Chase deal still has to get done. The T. Higgins deal still has to get done. But in the meantime, they got the Mike Gesicki deal done. So that's interesting. I think this guy's not young. Yeah, that's their tight end. That's the guy that does the really shitty gritty. I'm going to look up how old he is. Because again, I don't think 29. I'm going to turn 30 in the middle of the year. So not a young player in the slightest. Kind of a win now move to pay a tight end like this. And yeah, I don't think it's the best optics to get this deal done first. Look, you had to sign him. Because I think what's his name? I think Burrow shouted him out on the podcast. So you got to appease Burrow at this point. You know you're not going to pay Trey Hendrickson. You know you're kind of going to piss off Joe Burrow a little bit. The best you can do is at least give him his weapons. It's not an outrageous number. But yeah, I just don't think that, I don't think the Bengals are being built smart. If I was on a restricted budget, I would be beefing up the trenches. You're going to be paying 2 receivers and a tight end. You're going to not have an offensive line. You're going to have talented running backs, but not the offensive line to really maximize them. It's just a weird setup. And the thing is, it's not an either or. They're probably going to get the Chase and Higgins deals done as well. But yeah, the team is just not going to be it. And I can't really everything that they have going on, and just what is the first bit of news you hear that's substantial is we paid Mike Gesicki. Awesome. Are you going to pay Higgins or Chase or not? But yeah, the last move we're going to look at is Davante David. So the Buccaneers pay a 35-year-old linebacker who is somehow, some way just phenomenal every single year. So you can't really not pay him. He's definitely earned it. One of their longest standing players, probably somebody who has an outstanding relationship with Todd Bowles. So while I think a lot of the optics of this deal don't look great, like it's paying a linebacker big money, it's paying a 35-year-old big money. And it's one of their first moves. I don't really think they've spent any money on anything else. So the first bit of money you spend is on a 35-year-old linebacker. But Davante David is so good. None of those things matter. You got to do this. And it's a phenomenal move. Good to see you, Jolly Mama, in the chat. And yeah, so with that wrapped up, people, shout out to the 115 people in the chat. Make sure you guys hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Very important forms of engagement for the growth of the YouTube channel. We're at 199 subscribers, so we're 1 sub away from 200. If somebody could be this 200th sub right now, that'd be awesome. So I'm going to put the link in the chat for anybody that wants to hop in. We're going to hang around for a little bit more to just generally, it's an open discussion now. It could be about anything related to the NFL and the news that's broken. Anything I may have missed, any opinions on stuff I've talked about. We got Jared hopping on right now. What's going on, Jared?
Well, you missed my Texans news.
Oh, what happened?
They traded for Christian Kirk.
Hold on. Yeah, I hear myself in the background, so I'm just going to mute you. But now, so I covered that when I talked about the
Oh, was that when you were?
Yeah, I still hear myself. Yeah, so when I did this, that's when I talked about the Jaguars trading Christian Kirk. Talked about basically how he's gonna be probably Tank Dell for this year until Tank Dell gets healthy. He's gonna be motivated. It's a pretty big disrespect to get traded to your division rival. He's coming off an injury. He has a point to prove. I think he's gonna be a good number 3 receiver for the Texans. And yeah, I got King hopping in as well. What's going on, bro?
I'm back. What's up?
Anything you want to talk about in particular?
Besides us, I'm just laughing at how bad the Bengals are probably going to be again.
That's a mess.
Yeah, that's a horrible mess.
We know you guys are broke, but you can't be broke and bad with money. This is a life principle beyond anything. If finances are tight, You better be smart about how you spend it. You can't be tight financially and bad with money. Like, this is not something that can happen. And the Cincinnati Bengals just choose to be that.
Yeah. Also, and I was the one who kind of made the joke, but I like how the Las Vegas Seahawks are now canon.
Yo, the Las Vegas Sea Falcons, bro. It is a mess up there. Like, I can understand some of the thinking and acknowledge that it's respectable thinking, but good God, man, like you can't pay Geno Smith a big contract. Expect that's gonna
Is there
go
any echo
well.
now?
Let me see. No, it's good. It's good. We're good. All right, what's up?
Okay, I just had to put my headphones on. That's why.
Awesome. But yeah, no, I was like,
I don't
bro,
know. I think I
it.
like the Christian. I like the Christian Kirk add to the Texans.
I know, I like it too. Like, he's had a couple injury plagued years, and I think that's why the production dropped off. I don't think he's all of a sudden bad at football because he's not even that old.
No.
He's gonna be
He's only
29.
20 years old.
He's gonna be 29 in the middle of the year. I think they're gonna get a very good year out of him. And if you think about what their offense is gonna look like, they got Nick Caley, so they got a Sean McVay ass coach from the Rams. He's probably gonna.
Wait, we got Sean McVay?
Nah, you got somebody from his staff.
Oh.
But yeah, you got somebody from his staff, so you know he's gonna put receivers in space. So I think that benefits guys like Christian Kirk. I think he's gonna do well in that offense.
It just sucks that Tank Dell's going to miss the whole 2025 season.
But that's the thing, man. Christian Kirk is going to be your Tank Dell for this year, and then like that's actually going to be a really smooth transition, even in terms of the kind of receivers they are.
So it's going to be Nico Collins. It's going to be Nico Collins, Christian Kirk, who's going to be a third wide receiver.
That I think you guys still have to figure out in the offseason. I think it's probably going to be somebody who's not on the team right now. But let's say worst case scenario, like John Mechie was not bad for you guys last year.
No, he wasn't actually.
So, like, if absolutely worst case scenario, they don't love anybody in the trade market or in the draft, I mean, they could probably trot out Mechie, Kirk, and Nico Collins. And as long as they fix the offensive line, that should be at least respectable.
I hope he fixes the online like the Steelers. But plus, I give the Steelers an A+ for that DK Metcalf trade.
Yeah, outstanding trade. Outstanding trade.
A+.
Facts.
Yeah. But hey,
But the Steelers did need a wide receiver.
Hold on, you guys were both talking at the same time. What was that, King?
Oh, okay. I was saying this job is not finished since it's only the beginning.
This is true. What's that Kobe Bryant meme? Is that we ain't done yet? No, it was Marcus Peters. Actually, they both done it. But like, yeah, like the we ain't done yet.
Marcus Peters was, I think we ain't done yet, and I'm quoting Kobe with the job not finished.
Oh yeah, job not finished. There it is.
I don't know who the Steelers should add as a quarterback. Sam Darnold won't fit very good.
Oh, okay. Let me look at the free agents right now, or like the field.
Justin Fields? Resign Justin Fields?
The thing is, again, now that you have these two receivers, I don't want a quarterback that's not good at taking advantage of the deep parts of the field. And maybe you could say with Fields, he hasn't really had the players. But bro, King, let me know if I have this mistaken. I believe a part of the reason that they switched from Fields to Wilson is because Fields wasn't making use of George Pickens correctly. And because of that, the offense was suffering. The switch to Wilson, it wasn't about winning and losing games because they were winning games with Fields, but he wasn't taking advantage of what they had. So that's the thing, is you don't want to have that problem again with Fields. So I kind of think that Fields has to be out of the equation now.
Yeah, but like, Russ is like what, 35 plus or something like that. He's old.
Yeah,
and like
Russ is 35.
Like Russ did what Sam Darnold did. He did well his first few games, but then he became bad. So it's like, I don't want him to be my only quarterback.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson came bad like in the mid-season.
Yeah.
Hold on.
When he got bad.
Okay.
Yep.
I pulled up. What the hell is going on to this thing? I pulled up the spreadsheet that I had for quarterback musical chairs. I can share this on the screen right now, just so we can look visualize what the options are. I'm gonna share the screen right now, but it doesn't look great from a standpoint of like having a lot of names. But if we look at here, I'm gonna put this take this off the screen, take the banner off the screen as well. Scroll down a little bit. The tradable quarterbacks were Matt Stafford, Derek Carr, Geno Smith, Aaron Rodgers. All of those guys are not available anymore, but Aaron Rodgers, who's going to get cut, right? And then in the free agents, right, you're talking about Cousins, Wilson, Fields, and Darnold. I don't think Darnold and Fields are going to use your receivers correctly. I think really and I don't think Rodgers would either because the arm strength doesn't look like
we gotta draft Jackson.
It's
Dart.
basically
I'm looking at this.
Yeah, bro. For me, it's got to be Russell Wilson or Kirk Cousins as the vet, and it's got to probably be Jackson Dart. Realistically,
who knows? Jackson Dart could go to someone else.
That's kind of puts them in a tough position. So if they don't get Jackson Dart, then I'm thinking like, bring me Milroe
or Jalen Milroe. Yeah,
bring me Milroe if they can't get Dart, and then if they miss on both, then it's looking spooky. But
spooky.
I mean, honestly, why have headaches with Kirk Cousins? You already have Russell Wilson. Just run it back with Russ and Jackson Dart. That's got to be the way.
March 12th, I'll be in Toronto.
Oh, yeah. We're definitely going to connect for that.
For a AHL game. So excited.
Yeah, we're going to figure that out for sure, bro. I just realized I gotta add you back on Facebook.
No, you already did, so I accepted you already. So.
Oh, hell yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I tagged you on that Joey Bosa cut. I can't believe they cut.
Yeah.
He was the only San Diego Charger left on that team.
I know, man. Joey Bosa. Hold on, let me get this off the screen. Joey Bosa being off the team means they really don't have clarity at the edge rush spot at all.
Because Khalil Mack went to the Bears.
No, Khalil Mack is a free agent, but now Bosa is a free agent as well. They just have they have to get 2 edge rushers. And then when you spend all the money that they're going to have to spend to get 2 edge rushers, right, you still haven't gotten any better. You just replaced what you lost. So now you have to spend even more to add. Like, it's always tough in the offseason if you have to replace players and you have 0 internal candidates.
Because I saw that Khalil Mack was going to go to the Bears again.
That would be interesting.
That would be interesting. But also, I saw that apparently this free agency, like defensive ends are like really deep for this free agency.
Yes, I saw the same tweet.
Yeah, I saw that too.
I saw the same tweet. There's a ton of edge rushers here, which means the market for any individual edge rusher probably isn't going to be crazy, except Myles Garrett because he has a whole different kind of leverage. But if you just need a edge rusher, there's going to be a lot of options.
Yeah.
Who would you pick though?
It depends for who. Like, if we're talking about the Chargers, I kind of want to go for somebody like not too old. So I wouldn't go for like Trey Hendrickson.
Someone young.
Yeah, Trey Hendrickson is 31. Like maybe Josh Sweat. Maybe let me see the options. Let me go look up that tweet. But yeah, I like Sweat for a situation like that.
I think there's 2 teams interested in Joey Bosa right now. The Niners with his brother and the Dolphins because of his father.
Okay, yeah.
Dolphins? Why?
Because he's from Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah, and his father played for them.
Oh, I didn't know about that. Wow.
Or his uncle, one of them two. One of them two played for the Dolphins.
Like, I don't know anything about the Dolphins defense. I don't know if that's a good match or not. Like,
I don't know.
That's another injury-prone player on the Dolphins.
Injury-prone edge rushers, bro. That's an issue for them.
True. They can't stay healthy.
For shit.
I swear, the Dolphins are going to be the Clippers of the NFL.
Oh, yeah, that's a great comparison, man. What the hell?
Clippers, Dolphins. Clippers should just move to Miami. They moved Miami to Los Angeles.
LA would never accept the Dolphins. They do not need a third team. They don't even accept the Chargers. Let's be honest, they don't accept them.
I'm surprised the Saints kept Derek Carr.
Yeah, they're cooked. They're cooked for this season.
Yeah,
I'm still surprised they retained him. I thought they were going to cut him.
so I thought that he was a candidate to get cut or traded as well. But I think what I'm realizing is that like the way the market is for quarterbacks, like wanting to upgrade Derek Carr is the right idea, but actually being able to upgrade on him, I don't think it's viable. Like, look at the options we just laid out for the Steelers. There's not like a bunch of quarterbacks lying around. So like, you know, it's not the worst thing to just like bite the bullet on Derek Carr's contract. The shitty part is that because the Saints are so screwed from a salary cap standpoint, they had to kick some of his money into the future just to be able to get under the salary cap. That's the real mess up. Like, that's the real place where like they're in a tough spot. But I mean, in isolation, like running it back with Derek Carr is not that bad of a situation.
Yeah. This year, between like last year and this up and coming year, this was definitely the bad QB.
Bad free agency of bad
last
free
year
agency.
was good. Next year is supposed to be good, but this was probably not the. This was the bad year for QBs.
Yeah,
I think the Bills extended Josh Allen because he won the MVP this year.
I mean, basically the Bills did with Josh Allen the same thing that the Eagles did with Saquon Barkley. It's just like, hey, we're not going to disrespect you. You had an amazing year. You outplayed your contract, and we're just going to take care of you to keep the relationship good.
And I don't think Josh Allen will leave the Bills either. If his when his contract's up, he's staying Bills for life.
Oh yeah, for sure. That player is not leaving the Bills unless he has, God forbid, like I'm knocking on like all kinds of wood, pause if necessary. He's not going to leave the Bills unless there's some type of catastrophic injury that happens. Like, provided that he stays relatively healthy, that is a Bill for life.
Yeah.
He either needs to be Alex Smith or Deshaun Watson to leave. Nothing else.
Facts.
And I'm glad my Texans traded away Deshaun Watson.
Bro. Keeping him, oh my God, you wouldn't have CJ Stroud. You would basically be the Bulls right now.
And the Browns, and we traded him to the Browns too.
Yeah.
And that's how we got CJ Stroud.
Yeah. No, I mean, it really worked out for you guys. But yeah, guys, tomorrow, big day for free agency. So I actually have a weird day tomorrow, but basically, in terms of Eastern time, I'm going to be available to stream between 1 and 4. Like during that's peak free agency.
I'll be free for that.
Okay, so for that type of day, right? Like if any crazy news happens from 1 to 4, I'm down to stream like live when it happens. I'll be there. Now, if nothing crazy happens, I probably won't stream. But if something crazy happens after that, I can stream again at like 11. So I might do a late night stream like this if something absolutely crazy happens, because I understand most people aren't even going to be available to watch it at that time. So I'll only do it if it's like some really crazy, like Aaron Rodgers to the Vikings, like something crazy that has to be talked about. I'll do it tomorrow evening. What's that?
You know, the Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers situation is the same thing.
Oh yeah, the pattern is crazy, man.
You know that he started as a Packers QB, won a Super Bowl. Same with Rodgers.
Yeah.
Then he went to the Jets. It stunk. Now, is he going to go to the Vikings now?
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, beyond that, for the rest of the week, I'll probably be doing streams at the end of the day. So like 8 or 9, recap the day. That's probably going to be the schedule for the rest of the week. So
a recapping of like every team.
Basically. So yeah, make sure you guys subscribe. Yo, we hit 200 subs. Say less. Who did it?
Yeah, we hit 200 subs.
Yo, whoever hit 200, whoever's in the chat, man, make sure you put your name in there, bro. You're my guy forever, or girl, could be anybody. But shit, man, we hit 200 subs. That's a really, really, really big landmark. I think I was at like, no joke, I think I was at like 44 this time last year. So it's been a crazy year. Yeah, big time growth.
Hey, you deserve it.
Thank you, bro. Thank you. Appreciate you guys, especially you two here. You guys are always in the chat, always on the streams. It really helps. You guys are definitely hell yeah, bro. You guys are definitely big parts of the community. So yeah, we're gonna on that note, on that celebratory note, we're gonna wrap it up. Big up to everybody for 200. Appreciate you guys. I'm gonna end the stream. We are going to be back tomorrow, probably. If not, be back on Tuesday for sure. But I'm gonna hear. You guys are gonna be hearing a lot more from me because a lot of big news is gonna happen. So I'll see you guys when it does happen. On my way out, make sure you guys hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Very important forms of engagement for the growth of a YouTube channel. And yeah, we are going to keep going, people. So I'll see you guys later. You guys take care. I am out.